Let's give Chris a big hand, please.
Is there supposed to be a sound?
I wish there were. That's why I was trying to add sound effects, but
Oh, you can do boom.
I know. Can we do that over? Does someone have like a boom sound on their smartphone?
No, with your mouth.
Okay, so yeah, hello everyone. My name is Chris, and I'm going to be talking about blended learning. As you can see in the picture here, we have a traditional classroom setting, a mobile phone, and this is supposed to be cyberspace. I'm not sure how obvious that is. Yeah. All right, so in this presentation, I will discuss an introduction to blended learning, how to use blended learning, how I personally use it, and challenges of blended learning. Okay, so what is blended learning? Anyone have an idea? Okay. So blended learning combines traditional teaching methods with online and mobile learning. I guess in the past, blended learning was more of just traditional teaching methods with online education, but in recent years it's combining with mobile learning, like a smartphone or tablet. So here's a very comprehensive graph or chart to illustrate that point. All right, so who uses blended learning? Anyone have an idea? Who uses blended learning?
Everybody
Yes, exactly. So Hoseo University. Yeah, so we use blended learning here now. So why? But why do we use it?
Because we have to.
Exactly, yeah. So, in other words, it increases the efficiency of students' learning, so more efficient. It also engages students to work together more collaboratively. It increases student satisfaction, and it utilizes a wider variety of learning styles. You know, some students might be more auditory, or visual, or group-oriented, or they work better by themselves. And so blended learning really incorporates a lot of different learning styles. And for me, it's the way work and social life operate now. You know, everybody's online with their smartphones and instant messages and or their tablet. You know, it's kind of the way things are going. Okay, so how to use blended learning. So after creating your learning objectives and your overall plan, break them into smaller segments. And the smaller the better. The smaller the segments, the better. Then decide which mediums will be utilized for the various segments. So this step requires the instructor to really kind of self-reflect and think, you know, where are my strengths, where are my weaknesses, which mediums can I use to teach which points. And then some mediums include online learning, traditional classroom instruction, smartphone or tablet course integration, self-paced learning, and language labs. And there's probably more too, but that's just some. All right, so yeah, the top-notch website, as many of us know, but for those of you who are not familiar, it has many tools such as online homework, unit review games at the end of each unit, a grade book, and a calendar. So it's a pretty useful tool. It could use a little refresh, but yeah, it's pretty good once you learn how to navigate it. Twitter can all, from last time I spoke, I'm a huge proponent of Twitter. I think Twitter is such a valuable tool for the EFL students here. So yeah, it could be used for creative homework assignments, student reminders, student stories, trivia questions, and all that. A newcomer that I just discovered is Edmodo. Can you guys see that? Is the podium in the way?
Okay.
It's okay? All right, yeah, so Edmodo, it's kind of like a Twitter education-related clone. And it also might be conducive to your own classes. Just a quick survey. Has anyone heard of Edmodo? Yes, awesome, cool. Yeah, So I'll talk a little bit about Edmodo. Yeah. So just a quick note on Edmodo. This is a new app. So I've noticed a lot of you have smartphones or tablets. This is both an iPhone and Android app. You can also run it on your PC. It's relatively new compared to Twitter, but it's growing exponentially. It just received 15 million in funding. It has several benefits over Twitter. So one is the ability to create dedicated groups with direct messaging. That's one of the fallbacks with Twitter. There are ways around Twitter to do the direct messaging within each group, but it's really kind of convoluted, and there's a lot of like little hacks and stuff you have to do. But this makes it super simple. You set it up. You set up your one profile. You create your classes. If you need to message a class directly, it'll do just that. So it's really, really simple. Next, the ability to assign grades assign, grade, and survey students within the app. So you have a lot of things you can do with your students within this app. And I should mention, you don't even need a smartphone or tablet to do this. You can do it on a PC or Mac just fine. But the having a mobile device does help when you're on the go. It has a very intuitive UI or user interface. Things really make sense. I should say, well, I mean, Twitter also is pretty intuitive, but for some reason, I think this is a little bit better. But anyway, yeah, ability to set up a course library with important links and documents. So links to your own websites, EFL or ESL podcasts, or documents, your syllabus, things like that. And an very easy to navigate calendar. And it has a very, I'd say even like a Web 3.0 type feel to it. And lastly, I'm not sure if you guys can see that, but yeah, you can award achievement badges to your students. Might be kind of fun. For example, you can create your own, or you can use the badges that are already there. Like I created a Top Gun badge, and I put like a little picture of like a fighter jet, and that's like the most, someone that participates the most in class, the most maybe or the most helpful. But you can do whatever you want. And students, they collect the badges and they can compare them to the other people in the group. I don't know, it might be kind of fun. Okay, so those are the positives of Edmodo. Just in a quick note on the disadvantage. I'm not fully backing Edmodo yet, even though it might sound like it. But first and foremost, it doesn't support push notifications. And does everyone know what a push notification is? For those of you who aren't aware, a push notification on a mobile device, it's a notification. It comes up automatically, so you don't need to open up. For example, Twitter, it supports push notifications. So if I send out a tweet to a student, the default is it'll bing or beep or vibrate or something, and the student will know that they received a tweet from me. This, on the other hand, they have to open the app periodically and check, what's going on with the course. A big disadvantage. Hopefully they will address this in future revisions. But yeah, a lot of people, I mean, with this were fixed, then I'd probably switch to Edmodo right now. But if it's not a big deal for you, then maybe it'll work out. And also, Twitter is kind of perceived as like, oh, cool, I have a Twitter account, and this doesn't really have the cool factor that Twitter has. It's, I don't know, it's just not as, my students might not think it's as cool. The range of options might prove too intimidating for lower L2 learners. The thing about Twitter is that, you log into Twitter, you have your little box, tweet, send, boom, done. This, they have a lot of other things like the course calendar, the grades, the messages, and it might be, since it's all in English, it might be a little bit too tricky for students. Plus, Twitter is in Korean, so they'll have all the links and buttons in Korean. So that's another thing to consider. Anyway, okay, so I just wanted to mention a quick note about Edmodo, new app you might be interested in. So how I use blended learning. Of course, every instructor, they have his or her own style. what works for me might not work for you, and vice versa. But here's just a quick note on what I do. So yeah, so after I create my course objectives, I proceed to make them just two things, as clear and efficient as possible. So, and to do that, I give my students 24/7 access to my website that has any pertinent information that they might need. And that includes, so like, my presentations. A student misses a class, they go to my website, they download the presentation. Assignments, rubrics, and homework help. And of course my contact information, my course syllabus. I also keep abreast of communication trends. I think it's, for example, email. It's kind of becoming an old style of communication. And many of us, myself included, we're like, really? Email is becoming kind of antiquated? But it's true. It's like students don't like using email. It's kind of slow compared to instant messages like Twitter. If I need to reach my students, I send out a tweet. And a couple seconds later, pops up on their smartphone or their tablet, and then they reply back. And yeah, it is becoming more efficient than email. The instant message, and it doesn't have to be Twitter. It could be like iMessage or similar ones. Yeah, and also to facilitate communication with my students, yeah, like I just mentioned, I try to do more of the instant message things. Okay. So this is where Twitter comes in, and for my class. I require each and every one of my students to create a Twitter account. Most of them have already, but for the ones that haven't, yeah, they sign in to Twitter, and then I put them in lists, or Twitter calls them lists, but they're really groups for my class. And I do that for a number of reasons. So yeah, one of the reasons is unit correlated creative writing assignments. So what goes along with, a lot of the online homework, as many of us know, that it doesn't allow for much creativity, and instead of just doing the fill in the blanks and the true and false and the multiple choice and the short answer, I give them a topic and I want them to be creative and write type one or two sentences of their own ideas. Yeah, quick reply course questions and answers. I get a tweet, pops up on my iPad. I send it back. Within a couple minutes. It's really efficient. Course reminders. Don't forget about the big test, or don't forget next Monday class is canceled. Tweet goes to their mobile devices. And students are also free to type me a message that might be unrelated to the course material. Yeah, just want to say hi. I'll type hi back. How are you? Oh, and so here's some other ways that you can use Twitter that I'm planning on doing it this semester. Class stories. I thought this was kind of interesting. So I'll start a story with the first tweet. And then students in my class, they can continue the story through subsequent tweets. So, and there's no order, one student will tweet, and then, this happens. And then there's another, maybe another student's having lunch, like, oh, that's cool, wow, I got a great idea for that. And then they tweet another, and then at the beginning of class, we'll go through and do this and read the story and see what we created collaboratively as a class. Another thing is a word or phrase of the day or week, or it could be like a grammar rule. Yeah, word of the day or word of the week. It might be kind of fun and helpful for the students. Trivia questions. Yeah, you can use it. Trivia question, and then so give some time to research and prepare. So during class in the beginning. Who has the answer to this week's trivia question? And you can give them some bonus points. And also, I got this idea from someone who's not here right now, Gina Kim. She did something like this, but with text messages. First responders. So I will ask a question, an English question, and it could be at any time of the day, or whatever. And whoever responds back on Twitter will get a point with the correct answer. So it might be kind of fun to do that. Okay, so now this all seems like well and good, but there are some challenges with blended learning. Technical issues, of course. So it's important to have a good understanding, and I can't stress this enough, of the technology that you incorporate, because you're also going to have to act as tech support. And so that means you need to know the ins and outs of whatever technology that you're using, including, you know, the one we have to use, my top-notch lab online, because yeah, there's going to be a lot of technical questions that, you know, and I'm sure a lot of us have acted as tech support already. So, and also using technology for the sake of using technology. I remember last meeting, actually Jackie Boland mentioned that, and I thought it was worth mentioning again. Yeah, so don't just rush in and use a bunch of technology for, you know, for no reason. You know, start with smaller parts of, you know, initiatives, and then if the technology works, you know, build on that. But just really make sure it has like a purpose behind the big, you know, what you're doing. Oh, and also overcoming the notion blended learning is not as effective as traditional classroom instruction. It is becoming very effective. Okay, next. Yeah, so even though learning a technology might be difficult and time-consuming, yeah, like I alluded to earlier, an instructor should keep in mind the big picture of what they're trying to accomplish through the aid of technology. What technology is helping you to do, not just use technology because it's cool. And challenges with keeping online learning interactive. Yeah, interactive, that's kind of like the buzzword these days, you know? You know, don't just use, so like, you know, for example, Twitter, don't just like talk to the students and tell the students things. Have it be more interactive and have them share their own creative input, and you know, it'll be much more effective that way. And we are finished. Any questions? Yeah, yeah.
The main challenge I would think would come into play here is how do you get student? I mean, where does grading come into play here? I mean, are these students? Do you expect them to have a Twitter account?
Yeah.
And then just the chat. Do you give them points? I mean, do you monitor all these students? I mean, you have however many students per semester. How do you incorporate your grade using Twitter? Okay, that's a good question. Now, my style, it may not work for you guys, but what I personally do is the 20% homework requirement that we have here at Hoseo. I use that for the top-notch lab. And then for their tweets, for their Twitter homework, which is more like the unit correlated creative writing assignments, I award a bonus point for each tweet that they do. So yeah, it might not be everyone's thing to tweet, you know, and maybe they don't want to be creative and you know, type a couple sentences. They don't have to, but they do. They get a big, you know, it's a bonus point. And it's not, you know, bonus point. It's not that big of a deal. But if they do all the Twitter homework throughout the semester, those bonus points add up, and yeah. So that's how I personally handle it. I think I'll do that again this semester. Anyone? Let's go here.
You got a link quick. Will we be able to get this DBT file from you, or?
Yeah, I will post it to my website.
Which is?
Yeah, I'll probably just make a YouTube video of it. Anyone else? Yeah, sure.
Wow, you're popular.
Sweet, more followers. I'll follow you too. I'll skip that.
Make it quick, please.
Okay.
Chris,
What percentage of your students actually have what do you call
Smartphone?
Smartphone or the other thing too? I mean,
Okay.
is this a big money and technological outlay for the students? Or is it
Well,
what
yeah.
do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe that it's the smartphones and tablets are so ubiquitous these days. I mean, I would, and this is not exaggerating, I'd say a good like 90% of my students have one or the other, mostly smartphones, but yeah, I mean, it's amazing.
So you have a student discount or something?
They must, yeah.
What-
Even I don't have a smartphone, I mean,
Sorry.
so go ahead.
You mentioned way back in the beginning of the presentation about objectives. What kind of like behavioral objectives do you set? I mean, are you aiming at them using the target language for particular tasks, or what kind of functions? Are you just
Well-
trying to make them more creative or communicative?
Yeah, that, and I'm trying to really relate to their level. Most of my students, they already use a messenger application on their mobile device in Korean, or they might already blog in Korean. I'm just trying to meet them at their own, what they like to do, and just kind of switch it over to English. That's kind of my strategy with this.
Good answer.
Well, thank you. Good question again. Yeah, how about Jennifer, and then, so yeah, sorry.
You said that about 90% of your students have a smartphone and tablets. What about the remaining 10%?
They have one of these, an old school phone, which can, I guess, support Twitter, but I haven't set it up on this one yet. And for the remainder 10%, they can use Twitter on their notebook, you know, like laptop, or their home PC or Mac. So yeah, it's not essential, but yeah, most of them, yeah, really, yeah, have it. Okay. Oh, you and you, yeah.
I'll talk to you after.
Yes, they will talk to you after.
Okay. Thanks
Thank
again.
you.
Yeah.